Hello everyone. Today, despite the very challenging situation on the front lines, good news continues to emerge. It seems that the Russian defense is gradually weakening and the Ukrainian forces are advancing toward their goals. Let's start with some very positive news happening in Crimea. Yesterday in the evening, there was information about a fire on the occupied territory, specifically in Simferopol. A fire broke out in a military unit there. Perhaps it was accidental, although the Russians, of course, deny this and claim that it was a household fire. There are also reports of a forest fire near Feodosia. It's not clear yet what caused the fire there. However, the Crimean bridge is still standing, so the most important news is yet to come. But before we continue, I'd like to ask you to share this video on social media and watch it until the end. It would greatly help promote my channel. Thank you. And let's immediately start with the Vuhledar direction, where our troops are making advances. Here, the Ukrainian forces have moved 2.5 kilometers closer to Novomayorsk. According to preliminary information, they have even reached the outskirts of the village, and tactical battles are ongoing there. It's worth noting that all these successes are achieved by small units. These attacks are not massive assault with the support of heavy equipment and aviation. However, even with these limited resources, the Ukrainian armed forces are making progress. Meanwhile, the occupiers are attempting attacks in the direction of Shchetivka. As always, their attacks result in losses and the front line remains unchanged. The Ukrainian armed forces don't plan to halt their advances, but it's essential not to underestimate their occupiers. Today, it's reported that in some positions, artillery shelling is intensified by drone strikes, and they have a considerable number of drones at their disposal. It's hard to believe, but at the beginning of the war, the Russians didn't use drones at all, and now they received large shipments from China and even started their own production using Chinese components. Therefore, the situation on the front line is very complicated due to the use of drones, as one drone can carry out up to 2 kilograms of explosives. When dozens of them are flying towards Ukrainian positions, as is happening today, it significantly complicates the conduct of military operations and defense. In the Zaporizhia direction, the Ukrainian forces are also displaying considerable activity. Our troops have been spotted near the southern main defense line. The shelling of Robotyne and the Novopokrovka area continues, but the Ukrainian forces stand their ground and the battles persist. There are reports of significant advances by the Ukrainian forces in the positions near Robotyne, with an overall advancement of 1.5 kilometers, as stated by the spokesperson for the Tavria Direction Defense Forces. Meanwhile, in Russia, today, the call up for contract service continues actively. The banner reads, "Join your own." And for some reason, there are black bags under the announcement. It seems like they're giving a warning about what awaits them. Meanwhile, in the Kherson direction, shelling persists along the entire front line, and there have been reports of powerful explosions in Kherson. Overall, the occupiers haven't changed their tactics. In turn, the Ukrainian forces continue to fire at identified Russian positions. The General Staff has officially stated that the Ukrainian forces maintain their positions on the left bank of the Dnipro River. We already know that the occupiers cannot achieve anything, and they simply withdraw while occasionally shelling our units without much success. In the Kupiansk area, the situation is complex. Here, the occupiers are making serious attempts to break through the Ukrainian forces' defense in the area of Sinkivka. However, for 3 days now, battles have been raging practically without interruption, and the front line remains unchanged. This means success is on the side of the Ukrainian forces. I believe everyone understands that even their defense comes at a high price because all attacks are accompanied by heavy barrage. In the Svatove direction, the occupiers have been trying to storm Novogorivka for 6 days without stopping. Previously, there was a regrouping, and even earlier there were attacks, but they still haven't made any progress. The Ukrainian forces are successfully holding their defense, repelling all Russian attacks, both on their equipment and personnel. If you look at the map, you can see that the gray zone is still in the fields on the approach to Novogorivka. The occupiers cannot advance closer to the village. There is also ongoing exchange of fire, and so far the front line remains unchanged. In the Crimean and Siversk area, the Russians continue their attempts to push our forces out of the forest. However, battles in the woods are some of the most challenging, so the Russians haven't achieved significant success. In fact, earlier the Ukrainian forces claimed successes and advancements in this sector of the front. Therefore, it's unlikely that the Russians will be able to break through, but intensified shelling continues along the entire front line. In the Bakhmut direction, the ongoing conflict continues, with the occupiers advancing in 4 different directions. However, they are not making any progress anywhere. There was a report yesterday that the Russians had withdrawn from Andriivka, but there is still no confirmation of this. On the maps, we can see that the village is still under Russian control. Moreover, if we look at another map, we can see that the Ukrainian forces have already squeezed Andriivka to the maximum. Therefore, the occupiers have no chance of retaining control of the settlement. The withdrawal will be confirmed sooner or later. Additionally, on this map, we can see that the Ukrainian armed forces control the majority of Klishchiivka, with only the outskirts in the gray zone. Therefore, the occupiers are trying to advance today to prevent the Ukrainian forces from squeezing them out along the railway, which is their defensive line today. Looking at the situation realistically, there won't be significant Ukrainian forces advancement here quickly. However, the Russians have no chance of regaining control of the flanks around Bakhmut. All their attacks today are causing damage to the Russian army and benefiting the Ukrainian forces, despite the fact that there are always casualties on our side. In the Avdiivka direction, the occupiers continue their attacks, and in the past few days they have become practically active. This could possibly be related to the Ukrainian forces' breakthrough in the vicinity of Opotne. However, unfortunately, as we can see, there has been no further advancements, and this successful operation was carried out as part of tactical combat operations. There are no plans for major offensive action towards Donetsk at the moment. Therefore, the situation remains relatively unchanged today. Further south in the Mariinka area, battles continue, and the occupiers are attempting to regain their positions, but it's unlikely they will succeed. Meanwhile, on Russian television, they didn't appreciate the innovation of using car tires to protect aircraft on airfield.
Вот оно, посмотрите. Значит, вот этих самолетов у нас всего 16 штук. Их делают, цена неизвестна, засекречена, естественно, там 1 самолет в год. Это очень сложная машина. Это очень сложная, очень дорогая машина. И спустя 1,5 года войны, спустя двукратной атаки украинских беспилотников на аэродром, вот оно, посмотрите. Значит, вот этих самолетов у нас всего 16 штук. Их делают, цена неизвестна, засекречена, естественно, там 1 самолет в год. Это очень сложная машина. Это очень сложная, очень дорогая машина. И спустя 1,5 года войны, спустя двукратной атаки украинских беспилотников на аэродром стратегической авиации в городе Энгельсе, двукратная, она состоялась еще в прошлом году, в 2022. Вот не придумали ничего другого, Не нашли ничего другого, ресурсов не нашлось, кроме как защитить их покрышками. Что, серьезно? Ну, вот я клянусь, мне в голову не пришло, потому что первый раз обсуждение того, что все самолеты защищаются капонирами вообще-то, прозвучало вот именно тогда, когда состоялась первая атака на эти самолеты в Саратовской области, я замечу. А потом был еще ряд атак. А недавно была атака на Новгородскую область. Говорили и об этом. И снова возникает вопрос, да какого черта 1,5 года войны? Это что, такая проблема? То есть это не проблема даже бетонные капониры поставить на самом деле, учитывая масштаб строительства в стране, количество людей, занятых в этой индустрии, ну и вообще и навык. Ну, все же помнят, наверное, как во время страшной пандемии, страшной просто, ничего страшнее в русской истории не было, в том числе и армия строила госпиталя, как китайцы практически там за месяц возводили полноценный госпиталь, когда задача стояла. А тут что, задачу... А кто здесь задачу должен поставить? Мне просто интересно. Кто?
However, the Russians have finally realized the need to construct defensive structures for protection against drone attacks, and some aircraft are starting to be defended in some way. Russia is moving forward slowly but surely, and Putin has already called on citizens to vote in online elections.
На участках и возможность отдать свой голос дистанционно. Электронное голосование год от года становится более и более популярным, расширяет свою географию. Все больше избирателей доверяют ему, пользуются такой возможностью. Рассчитываю, что каждый из вас проявит ответственную гражданскую позицию. Спасибо.
And indeed, the popularity of online elections is growing in Russia. After all, who would want to come to elections and receive a summons? Russian public pages have reported this with reference to the Krasnodar communist deputy Safronov. He interrupted such actions as act of intimidation against competitors in the electoral campaign. Well, we'll see when electronic summons will appear in Russia. Friends, that's all for now. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.